Okay, I am Christy Tatman, Assistant Principal at East Elementary, Hallsville ISD, and this is for EDLE 5354, and this is Lindsay Slayton. Lindsay, would you tell us what your position is in Hallsville first?
Yes. So again, I'm Lindsay Slayton. I'm currently the Assistant Superintendent of Schools. So I just recently started that position. So previously I've been teacher, counselor, AP, principal, HR director, and now first year assistant soup.
All the things.
So, yeah.
So your new role will still encompass all the HR pieces,
yes,
but you get to do more now.
Yeah,
so.
I get to work with a lot our CIA department and oversee all principals and directors and things like that. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to focus on the hiring process. So I want to learn what it looks like from all different points and views and for different types of people that we're hiring. So can you just go through the district's hiring process from posting a position to onboarding a new employee, just kind of more vague, it doesn't matter if they're certified or not, just kind of the general process.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So as soon as our principals or supervisors find out that an employee is resigning, of course they need a letter. Sometimes we'll get an email like if there's extenuating circumstances, but 99.9% of the time we want a letter and it needs to be signed
Physical.
and dated.
Okay.
Yes, that's just best practice. And so once that letter comes in, our principals then submit it in our informed K-12 system. So that kind of comes to us, and then we approve, go through all of that process in our paperwork, and then it's posted online. And then those are posted for 10 days. Those jobs are posted.
Is that a minimum of 10 days?
Minimum of 10 days.
Okay. Is that what I've heard the secretaries call like a color sheet? Is that similar?
Personnel action form. So it used to be a piece of paper, and it was each color represented a different department's responsibility. So the campus, HR, business, superintendent, they're adding different pieces to it, whether it's the basic information, salary information. There's a section in there for when you're trying to hire somebody. So the form is for those leaving and those that are coming. And we want, when you check references, we want some information about that. We like to at least have 2 references, and then we also want to know who else interviewed for the position to make sure that we're interviewing multiple people as much as you can. We're struggling with that now compared to probably 20 years ago. The pool is getting shallow, but as much as possible, we try to follow that policy.
And is that why we, on a campus, I've been on the interview committee several times, and at the end, the secretary usually keeps everyone's, we write all the notes, and then she takes them from us, and that's so that you can...
You have to keep that on file, So we have, our secretaries do a great job of, I would put each time I would have an interview pool, I'd put all of the any questions that we asked and any of the committee's responses, you put them in there, you put the date on it, and you have to keep that on record or on file. Perfect. I think it's 5 years.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about the staffing allocations for each campus and positions that are determined each year. Like I know some grade level, we'll ask 100 times before school starts, are we getting a 6th teacher? Can we have another teacher in 2nd grade or whatever? How is that determined?
Yeah, so that is a challenge. So from the HR kind of perspective, we have meetings with campus principals in February. All the directors, assistant superintendent, all of us are in one room with each campus, and we kind of talk through what their goals are for the coming year, or their needs, wants, all the things, whether it has to do with facilities, instruction, teachers, new programs. I mean, just anything you can possibly imagine. We allow them to kind of share, because as you start building your budget for the next year, you kind of need to know what's coming in order to figure that budget out. And so teachers, everybody always wants more and more teachers, and paras. Our number of paras have grown tremendously. Teachers, we're looking at class sizes. So elementary looks a little different. Elementary, we're looking at class sizes. Secondary, you're looking at sections. That is a little, I would say secondary is a little, it's just different. I wouldn't say it's more difficult, but it's different because you have to look at certifications. We are currently a district of innovation, so we could get a little bit creative with that over the last few years. But as far as making decisions on how many, or are we going to add any additional staff, typically comes down to class sizes. We have a DOI that allows our elementary up to 25, but we all know that that's not best for kids, and we don't want that. But we just want it in our back pocket if we need it. I can't think of a class that we've ever had. It's been close, but we've never had to get their waiver to ask because that's there. But in the past, if you didn't have a DOI, you had to ask for permission or get the waiver. I've never been a part of that, so I'm not sure what that looks like. So we've had a DOI, I think, 10 years, I think, or 8 at this point.
Does ours, am I correct, like it expires soon? And
2008, 2028, sorry.
then will we get another, you just renew? Okay.
Yeah. I actually just did an amendment a couple of months ago. So you can amend within your 5 years. You just, but in 2028, no matter when you amend, you still have to stick to the 5.
It still expires at that end.
Yeah. So, but to answer the original questions, how do you know? So right now, like all my elementary principals are putting in their teachers and their class sizes. So with the 3 elementaries, I don't know if you know this because it involved North and West, but when we looked at numbers at the end of the year, we had West, I think had 100 more students, maybe a few more. So we ended up moving a teacher and an instructional coach to West. And so right now we can move staff. You know, when we get closer to the school year and when we start having an enrollment, you know, and people start kind of looking at those numbers, because right now we don't know much about kinder. We don't know a whole lot about pre-K, maybe a little bit. But once those are kind of finalized, especially, I mean, it could go into the first week of school, we really don't know who's going to actually show up. And so we're very careful to add more teachers if our class sizes are small, because you don't want to have to get rid of someone.
Sure.
So it is tricky, and you can kind of elementary, you can kind of tell where it's going. It's just that pre-K kinder that ends up being a little unsure.
So I think it's probably one thing to move a teacher within a campus, and that can be hard enough, but to move a teacher to a different campus, were you looking for willingness first, or was it, okay.
So the teacher, we actually had someone resign, so we moved the FTE.
Okay.
So, but the instructional coach, we put it out to the group and just said, hey, we don't want to make this decision. Is anybody willing to volunteer? Well, of the 4 or 5 that were at that campus, a couple of them had children there.
Yeah, it's harder.
And so that was the one that did not and was close to retirement. She was like, I'll take one for the team and I'll go. Because we don't want to force anybody. We want them to want to be at that campus. But they knew, I mean, looking at the numbers and looking at our accountability and our data, like we had to have additional support there. And so it actually worked well. So we haven't had to do that a lot, but we are looking at that more and more.
Yeah, it happens. So, and it is I'm sure that's not the easiest part of your job.
No, it's not, but it's part of it.
What qualities and characteristics do you believe make a candidate stand out for the district?
Oh man, and that's any position?
Any position, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I've been here 20 years, so I'm not from here.
Okay.
And so I think that you really, for me, when I was campus principal, like I felt like I could tell pretty quickly. It's one thing what's on a resume, and it's another when they come in and interview. And so for me, I wanted someone who referenced teamwork. Like one thing that we've always been about here in Hallsville is PLCs and professional learning communities and collaboration and being able to work as a team. So when I would check references, I would ask those questions. I would want to know, do they love kids? Like that's something we want to protect. No matter what, safety and security and loving and protecting our kids is
number one.
And so what is their experience, and do they love kids, and are they here for the right reasons, or are they here because a different job didn't work out? And as we've seen people go that alt-cert route, like you can tell, is it their calling and they want to be here, or is there not really another option? And so I kind of could pick up on those. Like I know those are kind of negative things, but that is something I'm looking for. But I wanted someone willing to work as a team, wanted to be here and love kids. Like that I can grow a teacher. I can grow an employee. You can
grow skill, but not character. A lot.
So just looking for that good character.
I agree with that. What common mistakes do candidates make during the application or interview process? What's kind of like a red flag for you?
Bashing another district. I've never hired any employee who bashed another district, because I'm like, okay, if you're willing to say that about them, because we're all in it for kids, no matter where you're from. Like, yes, I've been here for 20 years and I love this district, but I love kids down the road in Pine Tree and Longview too. And so if they're willing to bash their district, that's a red flag for me. And so that was always an automatic no.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that's probably blunt to the point, but that's the truth.
But that's a big no for you. Okay, so at what point does HR, we kind of talked about this a minute ago, but once the campus administrator, we've had our interview committee and the principal says, okay, I'm ready, so then that's when they put it into Inform K-12, and then that sends it off to the next person. Like you said, it just goes to the next people. So I think we've kind of answered that one in the first one.
They'll call and check references, and then they get to recommend to the board, but then the board makes the final approval. So we always
Yeah.
coach our principals and you guys on when you call, you're not offering them a job. You're offering, our committee selected
Recommended you to the board.
We're recommending you for board approval if it's a teacher. And then of course, that language with any other position is that they still have to be approved by the superintendent, but not by the board. But you are selecting them, but there's an approval process and there's a background process. So we've changed our background checks a little bit just because of some state requirements. We're used to, we did everything up front. Now there's some things that are done up front and things that are done after we submit all the other paperwork. So it really depends on that too.
Is that when it gets to the board level, is that mainly what the board is checking, or are they, I mean, I've never heard of a teacher not get recommended or not approved. So the board really is probably depending on everyone else to do their job with background checks and references, and as long as we're doing our job, then they
support.
They give
Absolutely.
us that.
We have a great board. I don't know if all boards are that way, but we do have a good one.
I was thinking, I haven't ever seen someone not get approved, but I probably just wouldn't hear about it if they hadn't. So
I mean, there are things that will come up that they'll ask questions, and but typically if it's on there, they're approving.
Awesome.
Because they know we've gone through all of our vetting.
All of our checks, I think we only have a couple more minutes. I'm going to see. This is a good one. What legal considerations should we keep in mind as admin during interviews and hiring decisions? Like, what should we definitely not do, say, ask, etc.?
All the things. So basically, once you set your questions and the things that you're going to, you kind of have, as a campus principal, and what I encourage our principals to do is get a set of questions that you like. Right? And I would just keep copies of those for all my interviews. But for sure, when you get an English teacher or first grade teacher or whatever, all the questions for one committee has to be the same. If you ask any additional question, you have to ask it to every person that you're interviewing.
So if you didn't ask it to the first, then you're done.
Yeah. Unless there's a follow-up question that you just need to know more about what they said, but you can't ask any different. They have to be the exact same.
Okay. What about, we've had different people offer information about maybe pregnancies or personal information, and if they offer it, that's fine, but we cannot ask anything personal.
Right? All the race,
stick to the questions.
Age, stick to the questions, stick to, all the important things.
So I know that you work a lot with teachers who are looking for alt-cert, and you also work with local colleges to partner for student teaching and things like that. What else are we doing to draw applicants to the district for recruitment? What do you think the challenges are with that?
Yeah, I would say a few years ago, we talked about, our pool was very deep. It's not as deep anymore, and so a lot of what we're doing is growing our own. So looking within our community and even within our paras and trying to grow them, trying to provide scholarships. We're working a lot with our high school students. So we offered a letter of intent to interview. It's kind of, we brought them before the board, and so we want to make them kind of already feel like a part of the family, and we want to make sure that the program that we offer at the high school, they're given lots of opportunities to be in our buildings, and a lot of us will go over and talk to them and share interviewing practices, or we give them opportunities to interview. Mr. Martin, our superintendent, has gone over there and talked, in their class when they've got to, certain topics that they're covering. But so we try to grow our own with staffing and with our students. And we're paying for clinical teachers, so SFA offers, I know there may be other colleges that do, but we have probably 40 to 50 clinical teachers or students that want to come observe. So we typically don't turn them down. If they want to come and they want to observe and get their hours or be a clinical teacher, we're going to say yes.
I would have loved to get paid as a clinical teacher. I think that I did a lot.
Me too.
That would have been great.
Yeah, me too. That's very new. I know that colleges are transitioning to some different things with clinical teaching, where instead of a semester, it's a year-long residency and things. So we haven't gotten into that yet, and I don't know if it's just because the local colleges haven't transitioned to that totally. I think that's coming, so it'll change some things. But I think it's a great idea that they're able to get more opportunities. But that's kind of what we do, and we're blessed in our district for the most part, we're able to get all of our classrooms covered.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. All right, we're almost done, but what do you think, what would be the factors that contribute most to employee retention? Why do people stay in Hallsville?
I think, let me think about why have I been here this long, right? I think it's really just being a part of a community and a district that, for me, helped me to grow professionally, like that encouraged,
Absolutely.
you know, that,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're always trying to train someone to take our jobs, right, at some point. And I think when they grow, we grow, our kids are, you know, they are able to grow, you know, and I feel like our district, you know, again, I keep going back to when I was a campus principal, because I do feel like I had a lot of ways of, as far as retention from HR, I think you're looking at benefits. What can I offer them? Like right now, we're looking at our budget cycle, and we're looking, you know, what incentives can we offer? How much of their health insurance can we offer? What other special things, whether it's attendance incentives or things like that, can we provide? I think from a district or campus perspective, you don't really have as much control over the financing of it. It's more of like, how can I make sure that my campus and my staff have what they need to be successful? How can I be available? How can I be intentional about how I support them? How do I make them want to come to work every day and create an environment where they feel supported? So it's like two different perspectives, but I think we work very closely with principals to make sure we're both doing our jobs well, so that overall the district, people want to stay in Hallsville.
Oh, that makes total sense. It's not, no one's here to get rich, so
Right.
we take the best care that we can with that. And I know the board makes big decisions usually in July, so that's coming up. And then, yeah, you're right, like campus culture is a whole lot, and if teachers feel like they can teach, and that will remove all the other barriers.
And we always say Sonic doesn't buy all things. It's nice,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, it's the culture that we can create on a campus. We can try to provide us, you know, the incentive payments and the benefits and all that, and that's great. But at the end of the day, do they want to come back to work? You know, do they want to be on our campus? Do they feel safe? Do they feel supported? Do they have the things they need? And when they have that, they're going to come back, and retention is good. And when you don't, from this role, I can see when we have campuses that have lots of turnover, and what, you know, we look at those surveys and go, okay, what's going on? What can I do to help that team grow? Because there's something's not right. And maybe not all the time, but that is something we look at.
It was what the conference we were at, where they were like, it's not the students, it's the teachers. It's not the teachers, it's the admin, like whoever you think the problem is, it's the next person up. And that can be a hard one to look at.
It is. And so I think that we have great teams that we're able to be very vulnerable with each other, because that trust and respect is there. And it's not perfect. I mean, but I do think that's why we're in a better situation than maybe some places. So
I agree. All right. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much. I think we got all that we needed.
Okay.